Hi, welcome to China Currents. I'm Chris. Before diving into the latest situation in Gaza, let's turn to a breaking news first. Former Chinese Premier Li Keqiang, who had just retired from the post earlier this year in March, passed away on October 27th. He was 68, and according to a report from China's state media, Li suffered a heart attack while he was in Shanghai. Li Keqiang served as the Chinese premier from 2013 to 2023. His previous career includes the vice premier and provincial governor of Henan and Liaoning, two highly populated provinces. The news of the sudden loss of the next national leader took Chinese people by surprise on an otherwise uneventful Friday morning. Alongside state media outlets, Chinese netizens are mourning in the comment sections of various threads, remembering the ex-premier for the challenges he weathered during the last years of his office, including the trade war waged by the US, COVID, and the Russo-Ukrainian conflict. Next up, let's turn to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. On October 23rd, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held separate phone conversations with his Palestinian and Israeli counterparts. In both talks, Wang stressed China's condemnation against all acts that harm civilians and actions that violate international law, calling for an immediate ceasefire. He firmly reiterated to both sides that a two-state solution remains the only solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and advocated for a more authoritative, wide-ranging, and effective international peace conference. In his talk with the Palestinian Foreign Minister, Wang Yi vowed to continue providing humanitarian aid to Palestine tailored to the needs of the people in Gaza. During the exchange with Israeli counterpart, Wang acknowledged that all countries have the right to self-defense, but emphasized that such actions should abide by international humanitarian law and protect the safety of civilians. Wang's statement aligns with his previous condemnation of Israel's military operation as beyond the scope of self-defense, referring to numerous attacks on Palestinian civilian targets. This diplomatic effort marks the first direct mediation by China since the escalation of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict earlier this month. A week prior, Wang Yi held phone talks with the US, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey, all of which have significant geopolitical interests in the region. And throughout these discussions, Wang repeatedly emphasized that China has no self-interest in the Palestinian issue. Following the prelude to assure relevant parties, the conversation with Palestine and Israel demonstrate China's proactive step toward mitigating the situation from a humanitarian standpoint. Following the tension in Palestine, on October 25th, the joint naval special operations training exercise between China and Saudi Arabia, Blue Sword 2023, began its maritime training phase. Following a two-week period of comprehensive basic and specialized training, participants from both sides are now embarking on exercises focused on rescue operations, reconnaissance missions, and logistical support. The training curriculum includes a range of courses such as helicopter fast roping, tactical group maneuvers, ship climbing exercises, drone operations, observation device handling, and ship-to-sea firing drills. China has deployed a landing ship equipped with 2 helicopters to actively participate in this collaborative maritime training endeavor. Despite Joe Biden's top aides scrambling on October 8th to reaffirm their commitment to the potential normalization of diplomatic ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel, the Blue Sword 2023 training commenced on October 9th, which is just 2 days after Saudi Arabia urged Israel to immediately halt the escalation with Palestine. Next up, let's take a look at diplomacy. On October 22nd, the Ministry of Commerce of China announced that China and Australia have recently conducted friendly consultations on their WTO disputes and reached an agreement for proper resolution. Ahead of the visit of the current Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to China, consensus has been reached to resolve all 3 WTO dispute cases between China and Australia. Albanese has expressed intention to restore relations with China since he assumed office last year. For instance, on April 11th, China and Australia reached a consensus on the WTO dispute over barley through friendly consultations. As a result, on August 5th, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce terminated anti-dumping duties and countervailing duties on Australian barley. Australian Prime Minister Albanese is scheduled to visit China from November 4th to 7th, and Chinese experts believe that the current Sino-Australian relationship has moved beyond mere warming and can be described as rebooted, entering a positive trajectory. Next up, On October 26th, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington, D.C., marking the first day of Wang's three-day US visit. In a pre-meeting press conference, Wang stated that China and the US need an in-depth and comprehensive dialogue to help reduce misunderstanding and stabilize the relationship. There will always be some noise in China-US relations, Wang said. The public considers that Wang's visit to the White House will pave the path for a Xi-Biden meeting in San Francisco, where the Summit of Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation will be held next month. Next up, on October 24th, China's central government has announced the approval of additional 1 trillion yuan in sovereign debt issuance to bolster the country's economic recovery efforts. The move was officially ratified during the 6th session of the Standing Committee of the 14th National People's Congress, where the resolution on approving the issuance of sovereign debt and adjusting the central budget for 2023 was passed. This decision aims to provide financial resources to aid post-disaster reconstruction and addresses deficiencies in disaster prevention, mitigation, and relief efforts. China has experienced a series of severe weather events, including heavy rainfall, floods, and typhoons in various regions throughout this year. The country has also faced a growing frequency of extreme natural disasters, highlighting the need to strengthen its disaster management capabilities. The Ministry of Finance has stated that $68.5 billion will be allocated for immediate use this year, with the remaining $68.5 billion carried over for use in the following year. This targeted distribution of funds will contribute to the country's ability to withstand and recover from natural disasters. As China continues its path towards sustainable recovery and resilience, the approved sovereign debt will play a crucial role in promoting economic stability, facilitating reconstruction efforts, and enhancing disaster resilience across the country. Next up, at 8 p.m. on October 24th, the 2023 Tmall Double 11 Day Sale kicked off its pre-sale campaign. It's the world's largest online shopping event, and has consistently been a barometer for consumer trends and brand performance in China. This year's event revealed a surge in consumer spending, with over 1,300 brands witnessing a year-on-year sales growth exceeding 200%, and nearly 700 brands seeing their sales grow by more than 500% within just the first hour. While international brands such as L'Oreal, Guerlain, and Nike successfully broke the 1 billion yuan sales mark, many Chinese domestic brands also made it to the top-selling list. Chinese netizens argue that it demonstrates the increasing popularity of homegrown brands among Chinese consumers. There was once a time when Chinese consumers were willing to pay premium prices for foreign brands. However, the trend seems to be shifting. Today, Chinese brands are providing products that are on par and in some cases even superior to foreign counterparts. National pride is not a sole driving factor for this shift. Chinese companies have become more responsive to market trends, aligning closer with consumer needs and are more daring in their investments. This evolving landscape of Chinese retail suggests a growing local confidence in an increasingly competitive domestic market. Next up, on October 25th, China officially launched its new National Data Administration Agency to oversee the country's data strategy. The NDA will be led by the National Development and Reform Commission. The National Data Administration will coordinate data infrastructure development and promote sharing of data resources across government bodies. It will also oversee initiatives to build China's digital economy and society, taking over some responsibilities from the Cyberspace Administration. According to the State Council's reform plan last March, the NDA was proposed to integrate fragmented data and leverage technologies like AI. With the exponential growth in data volumes driven by technologies, data resources have become crucial to China's digital transformation goals. The National Data Administration aims to maximize value from this strategic resource. Next up, on October 23rd, the Chinese State Council announced the establishment of a pilot area for Digital Silk Road in Shanghai. According to customs statistics, China's cross-border e-commerce import and export volume reached 21.1 trillion yuan in 2022. At present, China has established bilateral e-commerce cooperation mechanisms with 29 countries across 5 continents. The Digital Silk Road will become a new channel for economic and trade cooperation. Shanghai is China's largest distribution center for import goods and a preferred gateway for international brands to enter the Chinese market. It leads the country in e-commerce transaction scale and is home to a number of leading domestic and international e-commerce companies. Chinese netizens argue that the establishment of the pilot area will strongly promote e-commerce exchanges between Shanghai and countries jointly building the Belt and Road Initiative and connect more overseas high-quality products to the Chinese consumer markets. Last but not least, at 11:14 Beijing time on October 26, the Shenzhou 17 crewed spacecraft carrying Chinese astronauts Tang Hongbo, Tang Shengjie, and Jiang Xinling successfully lifted off, marking another milestone in China's crewed space program. The primary objective of this mission is to facilitate a crew rotation with the Shenzhou 16 team and enable a 6-month stay aboard China's Tiangong space station. During their tenure, Chinese astronauts will conduct a range of activities including scientific experiments, extravehicular operations, and routine maintenance tasks. This launch signifies the 30th flight mission of China's crewed space endeavor since its autonomous inception, and the 12th manned flight overall. Remarkably, China has maintained an impeccable safety record throughout its crewed space program, with 0 astronauts casualties since the maiden voyage of Shenzhou 1 in 1999. Li Keqiang, the spokesperson for China's crewed space program, emphasized China's preparedness to invite foreign astronauts for future Chinese space station missions. We extend a global invitation welcoming nations and regions dedicated to the peaceful utilization of outer space to collaborate with us and participate in our endeavors aboard the Chinese space station. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of China Currents. If you have any thoughts and comments about our show, please reach us at the email address below. I'm Chris, looking forward to hearing from you and see you next time.